Hey everyone, my name is Baran Federolu. I'm a senior at Lincoln High School and a junior team and student ambassador. Tonight, I'm delighted to introduce everyone to a special performance by the Ossining High School Chorus. Please enjoy.
Everybody loves the things you do, from the way you talk to the way you move. And everybody here is watching you, 'cause you feel like home. You're like a dream come true. But if by chance you're here alone, can I have a moment before I go? 'Cause I've been by myself all night long, hoping you're someone I used to know. You look like a movie, you sound like a song. My God, this reminds me of when we were young. Let me photograph you in this light in case it It was just like a movie. It was just like a song. I was so scared to face my fears. Nobody told me that you'd be here. And I swear you moved overseas. That's what you said when you left me. You look like a movie. You sound like a song. My God, this reminds me of when we were young. Let me photograph you in this light in case it is the last time that we might be exactly like we were before we realized we were scared of getting old and made us restless. It was just like a movie. It was just like a song when we were young, when we were young, when we were young, when we were young. It's hard to win me back. Everything just takes me back to when you were there, to when you were there. And a part of me keeps holding on, just in case it hasn't gone. And if I still care, do you still care? You still look like a movie. You still sound like a song. My God, this reminds me of when we were young. When we were young, when we were young. Let me photograph you in this light in case it is the last time that we might be exactly like we were before we realized we were scared of getting old. It made us restless. Oh, I'm so mad I'm getting old. It makes me reckless. It was just like a movie. It was just like a song when we were young.
Welcome to Junior Achievement of New York's 2021 Lower Hudson Valley Champion Celebration, presented by Crown Castle and PepsiCo. Tonight, we recognize our amazing partners in the Lower Hudson Valley region. From volunteers who have helped transform the JA experience in the virtual classroom, to our incredible network of JA champions, our educators, corporate leaders, government officials, and donors, your support creates meaningful impact in the lives of thousands of students across the Lower Hudson Valley region. JA programs are designed to prepare and empower students to navigate their own success, however they define it. JA New York in the Lower Hudson Valley works with over 40 school partners to deliver real-world knowledge and skills that help students to gain the confidence to say, I can. We celebrate all those who inspire our students in Westchester, Rockland, Orange, and Putnam counties with the knowledge that they can shape their own futures. I'd like to thank our Junior Achievement of New York Board of Directors, as well as the members of our Lower Hudson Valley Advisory Board for their continued support. And I'd like to acknowledge and thank our generous sponsors for making this evening possible. Thank you.
Welcome. My name is Catherine Danico-Sage, and I am the Director of Operations of Lower Hudson Valley of Junior Achievement of New York. Junior Achievement's mission is to prepare and empower students to make smart economic and academic decisions about their future. We know that students are facing unique challenges. Finding mentorship and community support is essential for them to reach their goals. Today, we're bringing together a panel of incredible women, both students and professionals, to discuss breaking barriers, leadership skills, and lessons along the way. With us on the panel today is Oyin Ayabiojo of IBM Global Financing. Oyin is a financial sales executive at IBM Global Financing. Next on the panel, we have Maylene DeBose. Maylene is a native of Brooklyn, New York, and has been an accounting analyst in IBM Finance Accounting for almost 15 years. Joining us as one of our student panelists is Marjorie Aporto. Marjorie is a senior at Lincoln High School and a JA student ambassador. Next student panelist is Gabby Lawyer. Gabby's currently a senior at Yonkers Montessori Academy, where she's a student government president. Our final panelist is JA alumnus Alenia Robinson. Alenia graduated from Lincoln High School in 2020 and was the 2019-2020 JA Student of the Year. Our first question is from Maylene and Oyin. Last year, you reached out to us to express an interest in volunteering in our communities. Can you share what sparked your interest and what you learned from these volunteer engagements?
So I can go first. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me here, Catherine. I'm really excited to be able to speak to the young women of JA and the alumnus. My partner Oyen brought this opportunity to me, to the BWFO group at IBM, as an opportunity to mentor and speak to the youth in the surrounding New York City area. And I've always had a passion for speaking to students because I really truly believe that once you make it somewhere, you need to reach back and pull forward. And the way that students can learn about the opportunities that face them after high school and college is to be able to speak to someone that they know or someone from their community, their background. And being that I was raised in New York City and Brooklyn, and I had to go through a couple of challenges and didn't even know where I wanted to be in high school, I thought this was a great opportunity to speak from the heart and let the high school students understand that you don't necessarily need to know exactly where you want to end up in life, but as long as you keep moving forward and pushing and not letting anything stand in the way as a barrier, you will make it and succeed in life. So I'm a walking testament to that. And I just wanted to let other students know and young women who look like me that keep pushing, keep moving forward, keep building on yourself, and you will be successful in life.
I think that's a really great point, Maylene. And I would love to also say thank you for the opportunity to be part of this panel. I am a junior achievement alumna, and I would say that junior achievement has had a huge impact in my success to the point where I am now. So when I connected with Joe, the president of Junior Achievement in New York, I was elated to connect Junior Achievement with IBM and the Black Women in Finance and Operations group. So that was where my inspiration came from, just from the fact that I have participated in Junior Achievement when I was in high school. And I'm very passionate about, financial literacy and empowering women and people of diverse backgrounds. Junior Achievement gave me my first laptop to college and a $5,000 scholarship when I won the award that was referenced in my intro. So I'm excited, and there's so much to learn from, participating in Junior Achievement volunteer activities.
As JA Student of the Year, Melania, you talk about networking. Anything from that experience help in your experiences now and trying to progress your career as you build your relationships?
I would say Junior Achievement and the workshops that I did with Junior Achievement was a big part of me learning how important networking was. During a lot of the workshops, they stressed networking, talking to one another, teamwork, and I started using that in the conferences that I would go to, and I would talk to as many people as I could. I would take people's cards. I would take pictures of it. I would scan it and keep it on my phone just in case I forgot the card. And I try and make it a habit to contact them during the holidays, just to maintain that contact.
Gabby, you've been a high school hero 4 times. So in 4 separate occasions, you've gone into classrooms to teach elementary school students in your community. How has the program impacted your career goals?
At first, when I was coming into the program, I didn't want to do it. I was very nervous to go into it because I had to figure out what I wanted in school yet or anything like that. So it's kind of difficult for me to push myself out there and do this. The first time I did it, I just loved being there in front of all the kids, teaching them something new. I can truly say that because this JA, it taught me what I wanted to do and where I want to be in my life, what I want to push and strive towards.
Marjorie, how has your high school experience prepared for your future success?
Coming into high school, I was really shy. I came from a younger middle school, a really small middle school. I was really shy at first, but going into business management, I was more prone to go up and present, and I'll present and I'll be shaking of nerves. I'll be so nervous. But it's a habit. You have to get a habit into talking and presenting in front of a lot of people, even though it was a small classroom, but I got into the habit of presenting. And now I can say that high school made me a more outgoing person. I do get nervous presenting. Obviously everybody does, but I'm more it's more easy for me. And when I go present when other classes, it's more easy for me as well. I think high school is really helps you grow as a person.
Alenia, I know that you were a participant in JA Finance Park when you were in Lincoln. Did that in any way help you to think about what it was like to be an adult?
I remember I told everyone the same story about how I told the volunteer that $200 was enough for groceries for 1 month. And because I was a mother and I had a husband and it was a child. So I was like, well, it's only 3 people. $200 a month is perfect for groceries. How many times are you guys eating? And then I got to college and I started buying my own groceries and I was like, wow, wow, groceries are expensive. Walmart is expensive. And so Finance Park was able to introduce me to the hardships of adulthood and kind of warn me about being on my own, having to make my own decisions, having to manage my own money, and be in the right headspace to make the right decisions when I'm managing my own money. And I think it's very, very important for teenagers to learn that, because a lot of teenagers, that's their first job. You get your first paycheck, you go shopping. And instead of, taking 40% out of your paycheck and putting it away for savings. And so I'm really glad that Finance Park was able to give me the tools and give me an advantage over my peers.
I also want to ask a question to you, Oyen and Maylene, if you want to jump in as well. What factors uniquely impact women?
Depending on the field of that you're in, a woman is typically the only one in the room sometimes. And what do I mean by that? When I was working in investment management, specifically in the private equity space, I was literally the only either Black person in meetings or the only woman at a meeting. So there's that concept of you being the only one sometimes. Another factor that affects women is this, because of the over dominance or of the huge presence of men, women are not always given a chance to speak up or to take leadership positions. You may see them in middle management, but you don't always see women in board positions, for example, or in the C-suite, right? If you look at the statistics, I think of Fortune 500 companies, it's like less than 1 or 2% of CEOs of Fortune 500 companies are women, right? So there's a lack of presence in very top executive positions. So because of these factors, you see women come together and create community. Black women in finance and operations at IBM is a tight-knit community where people are supporting each other through challenges. People can connect on different levels. They have children, they understand what it means to juggle different hats. They're helping each other move forward across levels, right? Because again, I talked about, maybe not seeing women in senior executive positions. So we're championing each other to get to certain levels.
We're usually the underdogs in the room. And especially when you are a minority woman, sometimes you're looked at as, oh, you're too loud or you're too angry, or if you make a complaint and it's like, I'm just using my voice, and it's sometimes taken the wrong way. And with our group at IBM, like Oyen said, we feel comfortable. We have a safe space. We can talk to each other about these things, and then have our senior leaders give us advice. Okay, well, maybe don't say it like this, say it like that. And it will be perceived differently. So I know I've grown with the group, and now know I have a safe space, and I have my mentors there that help me along the way to navigate a world that still sometimes feels unfamiliar to me.
Marjorie, if you would like to start with a question for our panelists.
So if you could go back, what advice would you give yourself in your first year of your career?
I would tell my younger self to use my voice. Like I was saying earlier, me being the first one in my family to work in corporate America, I was told by women who looked like me and had my best interest in mind. They gave me some advice that now I wouldn't pass along. So one of the things was like, don't wear braids, don't speak out of turn, don't interrupt in the boardroom. And those are things I wouldn't have told my younger self now, but it was like I had to fall in line, and that's not good advice to give. I would say to strongly use your voice, always speak out, be authentic. You can be authentic and be professional at the same time. There's nothing wrong with that. And IBM definitely gives us room for that. They encourage that. And I think all businesses and organizations should encourage young women to use their voice and be who they are. Let your talents and your skills speak for yourself.
People don't know that you're enjoying what you do. And so what does that mean? In your career, wherever you are, you need to be over communicating sometimes with your manager and your team. People want to know that you like what you're doing, you're interested in what you're doing, your head is not just down focused on your work, but that communication helps to set you apart because, people want to know that you enjoy it. That's what's going to allow them to feel comfortable with bringing you in on more projects and more assignments, right? If you're just doing your job and going home every day, it's very easy to, give an opportunity to the person who is more communicative and seems more interested, right? So that's the first piece of advice I would give. And then the second one would be to make sure that you are knowledgeable about what's going on in the world. I had an associate who used to drill me on the news every day. And then when I say that made me so much better as an individual and as a professional, because literally every morning on the train to work, I would be reading the news because I knew this man was going to drill me. And he did that to create a discipline in me where I was knowledgeable about what was going on in the world. This is important because you're going to have conversations with people of different levels, different backgrounds. You need to be able to connect with them and be knowledgeable. You don't need to know everything that's happening, but what's going on in the economy right now, what's going on in the presidential election, what's going on in India. Like, make sure that you, as a young professional, and even as any level in your profession, that you're knowledgeable and able to talk to people about different topics. I think it really helps to set you apart. So those would be the two things: over communicating, making sure that people understand that you're enjoying what you do, aspects of your role that you do enjoy. So that's the one. And the second one is being knowledgeable about what's going on in the world, in your community, and in the economy.
Maylene, how do affinity groups like IBM's Black Women in Finance and Operations help young women build networks and access mentorship opportunities?
I think one of the, and I'm full of quotes, I love quotes, but the first thing that comes to mind is that the quote I heard, that you can't be what you can't see. So one of our missions with the Black Women in Finance and Operations group is to go out into the community and set up these mentorship programs and get involved so that young women can see us in a position that they want to be in the future. I mean, when I was a child in junior high school and high school, I didn't know anything about corporate America. I didn't know about job roles. All I knew were blue collar jobs. My mom was a teacher. I had an aunt that was a police officer. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a teacher or a police officer. Until I got into high school, where I had to pick a business career because of the curriculum at the school. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, I'm like a deer in headlights. And so I really appreciate organizations like JA that start the children off so young in junior high school and high school, getting them exposed to different careers, different groups of people, so that they have this in their mind when they get older, or when they start to narrow things down, they can say, hey, I remember that lady who spoke to us. Let me look up accounting. Let me look up what finance is. Let me look up what IBM is about. How do you know these things if you can't see it or you never hear about it? So I think groups and organizations within corporate America or just in the community are very important for our youth, for them to see what's out there for them.
Oh, yeah, and I'd like to ask you the next question. You are a JA alum, and you went through one of JA's signature entrepreneurship programs. How has that influenced your career?
I was part of the JA company program based out of MIT in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And I started, the name of our company was called Heater Pocket. So it was essentially gloves, and it had little heating pads that we put inside the gloves. And we were selling that at football games and train stations during the winter season. So this was literally my first experience of starting a company from scratch. And I remember my mentor in that program, who I'm still in touch with till today. So that's over, 13 years now. And it was really important for me to have that entrepreneurial experience, because it solidified for me why I wanted to go to business school. Like, literally after doing junior achievement and another program called the LEAD program in business, I knew exactly what I wanted to do in college. And it's what informed my decision to go to Wharton, which is one of the best business colleges in the country. So I would say that junior achievement gave me the hands-on experience of building a business. It was the first time I really understood stocks, and we had to take count of our stockholders and presenting to them, and thinking through our business plan. doing these things gave me the exposure, like Maylene talked about, you can't be what you can't see, right? So, at 16, 17, I was already having that experience of being part of a company and really trying to produce sales. So it was really exciting. I'm grateful to Junior Achievement for that. Junior Achievement also gave me one of my first opportunities to speak to a crowd of over 500 people. I was a keynote speaker for the Junior Achievement Boston Business Hall of Fame. And that was the opportunity that allowed me to meet one of my mentors, who is a Junior Achievement alum. So everything is so connected. And it's so interesting. It's a fantastic story. My mentor, when I met him, was 70 years old. He's a Junior Achievement alum, Bill Sharbell. He's a Wharton alum. He's an alum of my high school. And it was through speaking at a Junior Achievement event that I met him. And he really encouraged me to continue on this path of pursuing a business career. And all of those experiences have led me to where I am today. So, I'm really grateful to Junior Achievement for sure.
Alenia, do you have a question you'd like to ask?
When was the moment, or what did the moment look like for you when you realized that there was a lack of diversity in certain spaces, and that in those certain spaces, it may not have been welcoming or safe for you?
It felt intimidating. And within myself, I knew I had work to do. That's one of the reasons why I volunteer so much. And when I'm asked to speak, I jump at it. Like, it may seem like a privilege to you, but it's definitely a privilege to me to be able to speak with you. So I think you touched on that, being able to be prepared for college. That's one of the things I noticed coming from my background, was that I felt the same way, that I wasn't prepared. I think one of the things JA is doing that is great is financial literacy. I don't know why that's not in every school as part of the curriculum. I mean, we have children, young adults leaving school not knowing what a credit card is, how to use it, how to help build credit, how to open up a bank account. I mean, those little things set back young women and minority communities from the gate. So I think those are the things that I see, and I want to be able to help use my knowledge, use my skills and my experiences to help young people to get over that hump. Because to me, that you're off to the races after that. We can always learn, we can always read books, but there's certain things that school can't teach us. And because of the disadvantages in some communities, we don't learn it and we don't see it. So we need people like ourselves, young people like you, who are striving to be great and reach back and help the next person come along.
As I mentioned, when I was in the private equity space, I would literally remember I'd go to meetings. I said, I was literally the only woman, or sometimes the only African American. I remember one day at my desk, this was in 2013, and I Googled women in private equity, and I found a conference that was going on in DC. And I went into the stairwell and I called the number on that conference, and I explained to the conference organizer who I was and why I wanted to attend this conference. And it was $1,000 ticket for the conference, and she waived it for me, and she said, you can come for free. And I went to my manager and I told him, I said, hey, I would love to attend this conference. This is what I've been noticing. I want to meet other people who are women investors just like me. And my company paid for my my train to DC from Philadelphia and my hotel, and I attended this conference. I'm telling the story to say that, and not only has that conference organizer been a mentor to me for the last 7 years now, but I've made a lot of connections by attending those conferences. I'm saying this to say that there are times when you are the only one in the room and there's a lack of diversity, but that shouldn't stop you or, preclude you from making a difference and doing your best in whatever that space is. And there are things that you can do about it. It motivates a lot of people to start different groups. You'll see Black female product managers, because there's barely any product managers in tech spaces that are Black and female. You'll see people creating organizations and communities or even conferences due to lack of representation. So I would just say that no matter what it is, it could be in your classroom, start that group that brings the people together. You can do something about it to change the face of, or to change that lack of representation that you're experiencing, right? It shouldn't stop you from being successful in that space.
I want to turn the last question over to Gabby.
I want to ask, like, has there ever been a person or people or anything that really discouraged either of you from trying to rise to where you were right now?
I can't pinpoint a person, but I can talk about rejection and dealing with that and rising from that. So when I was getting my MBA at NYU, I went through what they call an interview recruiting process for investment banking jobs. It's about a 3-month process. It's filled with going to a bunch of company presentations, informationals. You prep yourself for technical interviews over the Christmas break. It's grueling, and a grueling experience. And I remember making it to 8 interviews. So I had 8 interview slots. I made it to 4 second rounds. So it's 2 rounds, and I got 0 offers at the end of that process. I remember not wanting to go back to school after the Christmas break because I was ashamed to see my classmates without a job offer for this internship that we were all recruiting for. And I remember being really dejected and not wanting to, like, literally, I was like, I'm not going to class. I don't want people to see me. I don't want people to ask me, what about your job? You know, did you get an offer? I know you had 8 interviews, you know, that whole thing, right? So I remember just picking myself back up and saying, okay, reach back out to career services, reach back out to some of the contacts that you had, and see if they're still hiring for internship positions. Long story short, I reached out to someone that I met 3 months before that time at the Women in Private Equity conference I was referencing. And she told me, hey, why don't you come and meet my team? And that day at the interview, which she called meetings, she offered me an internship position. I say this to say that, like, the rejection will come sometimes, but if you know that you've done everything you could, you can't really beat yourself up too much. The reason why I was able to pick myself back up, one, I prayed a lot and I cried a lot and I talked to my mom a lot, but I just said, okay, just keep trying. Just try one more time. Reach back out to your contacts. It's not something to be ashamed about. And people were so willing to help. Like, you'd be surprised that people were like, oh, it's okay. Like, I'll help you. Like, there's probably something that I can get for you. So I would say that in your journey, like, you are going to face some rejection, right? But it's about how did you respond to that rejection? Funny enough, after being rejected all those times, I then have helped so many people get investment banking jobs through the interview advice that I provide after going through so many interviews that I was rejected for. So sometimes your pain ends up being used for good for someone else. And I would just say that no matter what it is, like, you just keep going and you keep trying and knocking on different doors.
I actually have a recent situation. So I was studying for my certified managerial accounting exam. And I sat for it in February, and I actually did not pass by 10 points. And I was hurt. I studied hard. I told so many people that I was preparing for this exam, and you know, I had so many people rooting for me. And when I got the results back, I was bummed. Like, I did the same thing. Oh yeah, and I cried. I like laid in bed, and then, you know, I said to myself, I'm like, you know, who am I to not try this again? You know, so many people were rooting for me. So many people put me on their back. This was a free offer, you know, and I take advantage of everything education wise that's free. And I'm like, who am I to stay down? You know, that's when you really are defeated, is when you stay down. Just like, oh yeah, went back and pushed and got that meeting and got that offer. It's the same thing with me. It's like, you know, I really owe it to myself and to others to try this again. And if I fail again, it's not a reflection that I'm not a great accountant. It's just this exam might not be for me. But you always have to try and dust yourself off and get back up again. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to the people that helped you be successful, help you to get where you are. And I tell my kids all the time to never give up. So I have to be that example for them. Like, this might knock you down now, but try again. And if you never stay down, then you will always be successful.
Thank you all for joining us for the Lower Hudson Valley Champions Celebration, Empowering Women Making the Connection panel presented by PwC. Thank you again, and everyone have a good evening.
Hey everyone, I hope you're all enjoying the Lower Hudson Valley Champions Celebration. Up next, we have a few special messages from our sponsors. Thank you.
Thanks for joining JA's Lower Hudson Valley Champions Celebration. My name is Karina Saltman, and I'm the Senior Managing Director for CRA Administration at Sterling National Bank. Sterling is proud to have partnered with Junior Achievement for more than 4 years, enabling JA to serve students throughout Greater New York by providing them with the knowledge and skills required to create their own economic success, plan for their futures, and make smart academic and financial decisions. Now more than ever, young people need to envision a future that they can shape and look forward to. JA provides the bank and our colleagues with an opportunity to make a real impact by making financial literacy not only real, but also fun and relevant. At Sterling, we place great importance on our responsibility to the communities we serve. Our colleagues are passionate about the organizations we partner with and are always ready to volunteer. Their service is a shining example of our continued commitment to go above and beyond. I also want to thank Mike Finn, JA board member and chief risk officer at Sterling, for his dedication to JA and for instilling in his colleagues a passion for giving back. No one knows what tomorrow will hold. In this past year, teachers and students were forced to constantly adapt to radically new learning environments. Alongside them, JA was there, providing resources and support to educators in hopes of inspiring the next generation to maximize their potential and achieve economic mobility and quality of life. We're so proud to play a small part in their big impact on students, schools, families, and communities. Thank you all again, and congratulations, Junior Achievement, on another successful virtual event. You really make it look easy. Good night.
Where is Corning? Some may say a town in upstate New York. Population, 10,709. And they wouldn't be wrong. But that's not the only place Corning is. Because Corning is a company that changes entire industries with its technology by partnering to create innovations that would turn the heads of sci-fi writers. When you ask where is Corning, it's here, 4,200 miles away, at the bottom of the Atlantic, part of hundreds of millions of miles of fiber optics, connecting countries, continents, and billions of people around the world. It's also here, in that super tough yet sensitive interface between you and your phone. It's here, 340 miles above the Earth's surface, in the Hubble telescope, in its optics, and here, in the glass on the International Space Station. It's here, in the screens we view every day, producing unsurpassed clarity in every size, from the colossal to the compact. It's here, in the ceramic filters that make the air we breathe cleaner. But Corning is only part of the equation, because our spirit and drive can be scaled at speed when we partner with customers who want problems solved, turning hypotheticals into innovations. Here, here, and here, oh, and here, and here, and here. Corning, we put ourselves into everything.
Tonight, we welcome Dr. Edwin Quezada, Superintendent of Yonkers Public Schools, for a special conversation with Junior Achievement of New York's President and CEO, Joe Perry, and Director of Lower Hudson Valley Operations, Catherine Danico-Sage.
Hello, and welcome to A Focus on the Future, presented by Hollis Public Affairs, a conversation with Dr. Edwin M. Quezada, and I'm joined by my co-moderator, Catherine Danico-Sage. Taking stock of this past year and all of the challenges and trying to, appreciate those and acknowledge the challenges, but particularly on the technology side. I'm curious what your thoughts might be. Like, do you feel like we've, begun to reach some critical mass where technology is now going to be, easier and maybe more accepted in classrooms?
The pain that we have all experienced during this pandemic is significant. But as you indicated, we truly have to evaluate what we have managed to accomplish as a result of the pandemic. And certainly in K-12 education, we closed the digital gap, not only for students, but also for the educators. There isn't an educator that does not know how to use Microsoft Teams as a platform to educate children, or knows how to use Zoom or Google Classroom. So we are in a different place as it relates to delivering instruction to young people. Our students, as early as pre-K, have demonstrated that they are flexible enough to use different modalities for learning. So we truly need to appreciate that, and we need to value that. My fear is, will there be a push for us to go back to what is considered normal? And I don't want to go back to normal. When you think about normal, you think about the fact that 10 years ago, we were only graduating about 60% of our young people. Now we have graduated over 85% of them every year in the past 5 years, on-time graduation. Normal was a place where not every college was accepted into college or given the opportunity to go to college. That type of normal we do not want back. I mean, we want this pandemic to be utilized as a platform to new and better things. Our young people cannot continue to afford to be given an average education. We have to raise the bar, and I firmly believe that what is afforded in Chappaqua and Scarsdale needs to be afforded to young people in Yonkers, in Mount Vernon. It's what we need to do, because the young people are ready to embrace learning at high levels. And this these new ways of utilizing technology is giving us those opportunities. I mean, now we need to look to offering advanced placement courses at 4 p.m. International baccalaureate courses, all kinds of hours can be offered to our young people because the technology is there for us to do it. So we, the adults, and I'm going to continue to say that, we need to embrace the challenges that we face during this pandemic, and then turn them into real opportunities for learning for our young people and for ourselves.
We've had the good fortune at Junior Achievement to pivot very quickly to convert our programs to digital delivery that helps both students remotely or hybrid or students within the class. So specifically, Finance Park, which is one of our flagship programs that teaches students really in-depth lessons about financial literacy, debit versus credit, loans, mortgage payments, paying your taxes. We were able to deliver that digitally, and I've been working with students and teachers at Roosevelt High School, and have gotten such great feedback. I've seen with your teachers the leaps and bounds they've taken in order to still provide for their students, and it is amazing.
Equally important is the fact that through this vehicle that we are currently utilizing right now, we have also managed to expand the possibilities. I speak about social capital. So my young people now have the opportunity of speaking in a very organized way to individuals whom they probably were not able to speak to because the person was in California or in England. And because of how extensive the technology is, now we give them those opportunities. What we need to do is, use the technology and then figure out a more effective way to create the warmth that happens in a classroom through technology, which is what I feel we have right now. I mean, we are having a conversation. It looks like a very intimate conversation. We need to create the same thing for our young people. let's have this conversation. Let's not waste so much time teaching a lesson for 45 minutes, but let's instead teach for about 15 minutes, and then let's open the doors for conversation, for communications, for students to do research. The opportunities are endless now with technology, but we need to ensure that the human touch is not lost as part of this pandemic. We need to maintain that. And it doesn't have to be by being in a classroom for 6 hours. We can do both. We can do the in-person work, and at the same time do this incredible technology work that we have now learned to do.
And I don't know if you're aware, but we always have Yonkers students as our junior achievement ambassadors, and they represent us to our corporations and to government officials. So students, your Lincoln High School students, had the opportunity to speak with Andrea Stewart-Cousins through an event that we had. And just, again, that opportunity probably wouldn't have been available had it not been for this technology.
And in the course of that conversation, we learned, without knowing this in any way, shape, or form, that she was a former teacher in Yonkers Public Schools. So she gave, talk about someone who, gave a kind of a life story of success. And she was so terrific with the kids, because she talked about all the different things that she had done with her life from very humble beginnings, and how she just, every opportunity she used as a learning opportunity and as a stepping stone.
First, Joe, let me tell you that the majority leader is both phenomenal in person and via Zoom as well.
Yeah.
She's such an incredible speaker, passionate about the work, cares about our children. So it's great that she's from Yonkers. And yes, you're going to hear me say that in America, we do not have a children problem. We have an adult problem in America. And we don't do enough research on what JA has managed to accomplish for so many young people. You created the conditions for them to see themselves in Wall Street, or being the head of a hospital, or being a teacher. You created those conditions. I'll never forget when I saw my young people presenting their business plan at one of your dinners. And if I speak to you about all those young people, they are all extremely successful now. And what you did for them by giving them a platform to present a business idea and to give them the money to sell a product, what a great concept. And again, I'm going to say it again, you managed to build their social capital by affording them this opportunity. And this is what's missing for our young people. Our young people are ready to learn, ready to achieve, ready to work hard. Many of them do not have that extra support that allows them to be successful. So yes, it's an adult issue. And I think we have sufficient human capital to help. We have enough money in America to help. We have enough industries to help. So let's just come together on behalf of children, and the world will be better.
Somewhat ironically, as we have gone through a period of intense awareness, I think, or greater awareness of social justice, how in some ways the learning environment in a virtual setting has made it even more difficult for us to address these issues, because the kids are not together physically. These were real challenges, and it's a whole new set of challenges, I think, that we're more aware of now, that we have to address as part of the solution and the new direction for education. So I just was curious about some of your thoughts on this, some of your experiences, or the things that you've gone through with the Yonkers School District this year.
There's a lot of interesting issues that you bring up, Joe, just now, and let me begin by saying that the pandemic has not been the only tragic event in our country. The racial issues that have occurred during the pandemic have dramatically changed the way we view our society and the way we view our young people. The killing of George Floyd, I think, woke up a giant because it woke up our young adults. And it demonstrated how impactful and how damaging the issues of race have been to our communities. But I am so impressed with how our young people have behaved, how they have reacted to these issues in our society. They have demonstrated that they are agents of social change. They have demonstrated that they are not willing to accept how our society looks at some of the members of our country. And they have done it in person, and they have done it via social media. And it has been a learning opportunity as well. And I think we in Yonkers, we have embraced our young people. We have embraced their pain that they have felt, and we have made it part of the educational agenda. Here in Yonkers, we march with our young people when they were protesting because of the killing of George Floyd. We invited them to different meetings to share their thoughts and their hurt and their feelings related to this. So we have not shied away from the pain that comes with being part of a society where race is so embedded in it. So for us, it is and it will continue to be about supporting our young people and giving them a vehicle to demonstrate, to share their thoughts, share their feelings, and help them see that this can be done and that we can change together the way this society behaves if we do it with respect and we do it with care. So as painful as this has been, it continues to be part of a great deal of learning for young people. And as I have said before, we have the responsibility for creating the platforms for them to protest, for them to show civil disobedience if they need to, and for them to challenge the status quo. That is so important, that we do not tell our young people that the status quo is the norm, but that it has to change for the sake of America, for the sake of our families, for the sake of our children. So I'm impressed with how they have behaved and how they have used technology to create a movement of young people who value, respect, and appreciate the diversity of this world.
Edwin, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for your commitment, for what you do for young people, and for providing us with an opportunity to partnership with Yonkers Public Schools, which I mentioned earlier is really a very, very special and longstanding partnership for us at Junior Achievement. We really appreciate it. So thank you again. And to all of our viewers, thank you so much for being with us today, this evening, for this conversation with Dr. Edwin Quezada, presented by our partners at Hollis Public Affairs. And I hope everyone has a great evening. Thanks for being with us.
Hey everyone, I hope you're all enjoying the Lower Hudson Valley Champion Celebration. Up next, we have a few special messages from our sponsors. Thank you.
With ASG, we are contracting for a large telecommunications company, so our work did not stop during the pandemic. Strict guidelines came from our safety coordinators back in corporate,
We all kept ourselves clean, 6 feet distance. We had our masks, hand sanitizer, proper tools, and other equipment that we needed.
Because we're essential, we have been going from city to city where we can work. Fortunately for us, our team has been healthy, and we haven't had any issues with the COVID pandemic within the team.
Each and every morning, we do a health check. It's questions and answers that are asked to our crew.
Anybody got a cough?
No.
Shortness of breath or difficulty breathing?
No, sir.
Anything that would represent a fever, like muscle pain or soreness?
No.
Continue to work safe. I'm congratulating you and us for doing the right thing, and we did it every single day.
We take every precaution that's required by the CDC, that's required by ASG.
Safety is paramount.
Rise above. That is the spirit of Atlas. Southern, Polar, Titan, all of us. In a normal year, rising above would be amazing. In the past year, it's been extraordinary. From every home office to the cockpit of every plane in every part of the world, we were Atlas strong for our customers, our company, and each other. From flight scheduler to crew, flying load master to station manager, leasing agent to operations, we showed up for work in the face of global adversity with resilience, resourcefulness, and the kind of teamwork where care was obvious, even behind a mask. Far and away, we rose to new heights. We grew to be 4,300 strong, including more than 2,500 pilots. Day after day, we uphold our promises and deliver on our mission. As we go forth, caring for the world we carry, we will stand taller than ever. Our commitment and values will take us further and farther than we have been. Atlas. Going above, looking beyond.
We'll continue this evening with a fireside chat presented by Corning Optical Communications, featuring the 2021 Lower Hudson Valley Champions Award honoree, Chris Levendos, and Junior Achievement of New York's President and CEO, Joe Perry.
I'm thrilled to join our 2021 Champions Award honoree, Chris Levendos, Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Fiber for Crown Castle. Chris, thank you so much for being with us today. We've known each other, I think, for 7 or 8 years now, and actually, I do remember. I think it's the first time I met you in our offices. You were really in the midst of trying to work on solving some of the big issues that had recently happened with Superstorm Sandy, and I recall you said you were working, with the city and the Bloomberg administration on really troubleshooting some of these things. And I think at that time, you literally came up to our office with a yellow, rubber rain suit because you had just come out of some storm sewers that you were inspecting. I mean, you were really hands-on on this thing, and I was actually really impressed by that. I said, "Boy, this guy's really, he really is in the middle of all of this." But you've obviously, you've come a long way since then. So, what are you, I don't know if you remember that story, but tell us a little bit about, kind of sort of then to now.
I think I remember that day a little bit. I walked around in that suit for a good number of months, as did many of my colleagues, because we spent a lot of days, weeks, and months putting things back together down in Lower Manhattan after Superstorm Sandy. And, we did that each and every day as the seasons were changing and whatever the weather was that day. So, we were always prepared in that way, just to, have the right gear on to work through that. And a lot of folks, many hundreds, a few thousand folks, worked many hours for many months to restore service in Lower Manhattan after Superstorm Sandy. So there was a lot to do, and but I was happy to be able to take a few moments back then to engage with you about junior achievement, and then the important things that we did together after that to bring Junior Achievement at Lower Hudson Valley and JA New York together. So that was an important day for you and I to connect, to set that forth. And then I went down to join my teammates to get back to work and do things. And yeah, a lot of time has passed since then, and now I'm currently at Crown Castle, which is the nation's largest shared telecommunication infrastructure company. And I currently have the honor and pleasure of serving as the Chief Operating Officer of our division that focuses on fiber optics and small cell infrastructure around the country.
Crown Castle is a huge company, and a lot of people see what you guys do all the time because they see those towers around, and I think it's something a lot of people don't think about. They just assume that the connections are going to come. So, maybe tell us a little bit about some of the some of the challenges with that. I mean, it's not just building these things, right? There's a huge amount of regulatory processes, and I know you've spent a lot of time on that, not only at Crown Castle but with other jobs as well. That's been kind of a big part of this. So maybe give us just a little bit of sense about what this industry is all about.
Well, what this industry is all about is connecting people, connecting commerce, and trying to move the United States' ability to communicate in the way that technology has advanced, such that when we think about things like 5G and further coming evolution, that the United States, across the country and in every community that we serve, has the opportunity to have the most advanced infrastructure and the most advanced services to be supporting life and commerce here in the United States as best we can provide. And that's what we do each and every day, whether it's through the use of our towers or fiber optics or small cell radio infrastructure, which is an important new element over the last so many years that helps bring spectrum use into our street corridors in such a way to make what we know about 5G work better, so that there is better communication in the sense of service quality. There's more broadband throughput to those service connections, improved latency, so that the things that we're focusing now in building more dense fiber optic networks and deploying small cell radios to support 5G, those are the types of service improvements that infrastructure supports. And as you mentioned, as far as rules and regulations, there's a lot of standards by which that we follow to deploy all of that infrastructure safely. And there's also a lot of processing rules that go into place about how that infrastructure gets permitted and how we work with other major utility providers around the country to build and service and maintenance that infrastructure at the, doing things at scale across the United States, doing things in major markets like New York and Chicago and LA and Houston and all the other major cities and smaller cities in the United States. It's a very complex series of things to work through, much of which goes on behind the scenes for most folks in utilizing wired and wireless services. Much of what goes on to make all that happen is behind the scenes, but there is a necessity to bring the importance of managing those processes more efficiently as we go forward. It's important to bring those things forward to more and more people so they realize the importance of doing that. And again, so that here in the United States, we can be advancing technology and services in such a way to keep the United States competitive and to keep businesses evolving and advancing, but also our ability to support education and development of our young people as we move forward. Having the best available technology and communication systems is incredibly important to that, and we've experienced that most specifically in the last 14 months during the pandemic as life has gone remote, as both commerce and life in many ways has gone remote, and the ability to continue education, the ability to keep businesses moving has relied upon this infrastructure tremendously. And so we know we need it to continue to evolve. And so all of the national and local process regulations need to be recognizing the importance of evolving forward more positively so that infrastructure can get deployed in the safest and most efficient way in the sense of time to be able to help support the evolution of our country.
From an education perspective, education has always lagged behind commerce in the use of technology, whatever stage technology has been at, over the years. And I think if there is a silver lining that comes out of this pandemic, it's K-12 education kind of being thrown into the deep end of the pool, so to speak, with technology. And I don't think there's ever going to be any going back to the way it was. I mean, of course, there's great value in, face-to-face education, and we will still have kids in classrooms and all of that. But I think that the use of technology will finally, stick and be developed further in our schools. And, I think in terms of how that connects to kids being prepared for the real world, that's going to be a huge benefit.
Indeed. And I think in general, I think the education systems around the country in general really did a fantastic job through the pandemic. When you think about how immediate and widespread the challenges were, I think certainly the responses of our first responders in dealing with the most important aspects of the health crisis here did such an amazing job. But I think our educators and our administrators, also did an amazing job. Are there things we need to recognize and work on to do better? And how my industry and the companies that I'm a part of, how we can help make things better. There's lots of opportunities to do that, but I think folks should be proud about the adjustments that were made to the remote learning environment. And there's a lot to be proud of and a lot to learn from so that we can manage these things better as we go forward.
Thanks again for doing this for us, this year, and really again for everything. It's been incredibly rewarding and really fun to work with you over the years. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure, Joe. And again, I said it a few times. Congratulations. You've just done amazing things here. Your dedication to junior achievement is just been amazing, and a lot of folks are just very happy for you. I know they are, and just really proud of all the work that you've done.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So to all our friends and supporters with us, thank you for joining us. If you've enjoyed tonight's program and would like to support Junior Achievement of New York, please click the donate button at the top of your screen. Thanks again for being with us, and have a wonderful evening.